What's the most common question I've been asked in the past few months? It's this: do you have anything available from Uplevel Dairy in Spanish? Well, guess what? The answer is finally yes, and I cannot wait to tell you more about it. This is the Uplevel Dairy Podcast for dairy farm owners, managers, and advisors who are committed to profitability, sustainability, and excellence. My name is Peggy, and it's my mission to bring you the conversations that will up-level your skill set and your mindset so you can be a top performer in the dairy farming business. Well, we have some exciting things coming your way on this episode and the next episode of the Uplevel Dairy Podcast, and that includes our first ever conversation in Spanish. This is actually a special project completely led by Elsie Gonzalez Leach from Motiva Dairy Consulting. It's conversations with dairy leaders, truly a passion project of Elsie's, where she sits down with Spanish-speaking dairy leaders to tell their stories and inspire others to learn and grow. Elsie is allowing us to share this conversation on the next episode of the Uplevel Dairy Podcast. So take the time right now. Go ahead and make sure you are following Uplevel Dairy Podcast if you aren't already. And also head over to Elsie's new YouTube channel, Motiva Dairy Consulting, where this interview will also be available. And so her first interview with a dairy leader is with Juan Quezada, Director of Training and Development at MilkSource. And so I was able to go and sit down with Juan and to highlight 5 of the key leadership principles that he talks about with Elsie in this Spanish episode coming out on our next episode in Spanish with Elsie and Juan on Uplevel Dairy and also on the Motiva Dairy Consulting YouTube channel. So we know this is going to be some incredible content in Spanish that you will want to share with your team, especially those who speak Spanish as their first language. You can use this as part of a team meeting or a training, a conversation starter about something that's more than milking protocols. And so that's what brought me to the MilkSource office in Kaukauna, Wisconsin, to visit with Juan Quezada to share what he has learned in 25 and a half years of being part of the MilkSource team. Juan shares his leadership principles in this snapshot of the much more in-depth interview in Spanish that will be our next episode of the Uplevel Dairy Podcast. This episode is sponsored by Uplevel Dairy Podcast founding partner Adiseo, a global leader in nutritional solutions and premier provider of rumen-protected methionine for dairy producers who want to optimize milk production, capture more value from components, and maintain the health of their high-performing herds. Enjoy this conversation with Juan Quezada. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. First of all, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be over here with this amazing dairy industry. It's incredible. But actually, I come from Mexico. About 43 years ago, all my family came to the United States. And actually, 43 years ago, my father asked me, well, you want to work at the dairy? And I said to him, I'm not crazy. So actually, I've been crazy for 43 years. And I still enjoy it every single moment.
Yeah. Okay, so you came from Mexico to the U.S., but how did you end up here at MilkSource?
It's a good question. I think everybody asked me that question. And actually, I worked before I come out here. I work in Texas, California, and New Mexico. And a friend of mine, I have to say thanks to him, Carlos Villa, he said to me, you have to move to Wisconsin. And I asked him at that time, where's Wisconsin? Because I don't even know where Wisconsin. So now, my friend said, you have to go to start working over there. So actually, I ended up come up here 25 years and a half ago.
So 25 and a half years ago, you went from much warmer places to the frozen tundra, as we like to call it in this area, and joined the MilkSource team. So what we're going to dig into in our time together today are these 5 principles that she pulled out of your conversation, the one in-depth conversation that will be in Spanish on Uplevel Dairy Podcast and also on Motiva Dairy Consulting's YouTube page very soon here. And she really pulled out these 5 key principles that came up as you and her sat down and talked. And the first one is this. So I'm going to tell you what that principle was and then have you explain it in a little more depth.
Very good.
So the first one was this. Number one, change starts with us. Set the example, mind your words. We have the power to impact others positively or negatively. Tell me a little bit more about that, Stephen.
Yes, I think everything starts with us. If you want respect, we have to give you respect. If you want to give you a good example, we have to do a good example. So this is the principle, and what I say, if you want to show, everything starts with us. Sometimes we, like I said, all the time we think somebody else have to shape, and it's not. No, we have to start with us. Jim always said, small things make the difference. Small things make the difference. Jim, John, and Todd, for me, they are true leaders. True leaders. So I think that everything we do, we follow them. We try to copy them to what they do, what they say. So I say, wow, this is one of the big reasons I'm here. It is the main reason I say everything starts with us. Leadership starts with us.
So change starts with us, leadership starts with us.
Yeah, no question about it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, your second principle, number 2, share your knowledge. What does that mean to you?
Share our knowledge. We as Hispanics, sometimes it's kind of silly to think. And if we share our knowledge, we're going to lose our job. We as Hispanics, we think that way. We have to change that mentality. We have to think different. And we have to share everything we know. At least myself, I have to share everything I know. And I got a lot of knowledge in the dairy industry about cows, about breeding, maternity, everything. So I would like to pass that my knowledge. I don't want to take with me too. I love and I got passion to share my knowledge. It's a great feeling. And I feel like I'm not more important. No. I feel like I have the more responsibility. More responsibility to do better, to how I can help the next person. So they don't make me feel much better, they make me feel with more responsibility. When you share with your knowledge and we share with passion, I think they listen to you. They listen. And it happened to me quite a few times. Some employees, they left the company 1 or 2 years ago. Sometimes I see in the store, in the gas station, and they say to me, Juan, thank you. Thank you for what I learned. Thank you for what you said that day. Because you mean it to help. Believe me, some people, they're not going to forget. And they're going to share and they're going to learn. And some of the co-workers, they say to me, Juan, remember you said to me 10 years ago, you said to me 15 years ago. And I said, yes. And so sometimes, yes, I remember, sometimes I don't. But I said, Juan, I keep practice what you say to me. And that worked. So that means for me, keep working. Keep working and keep sharing. And keep, sharing my knowledge, keep sharing, what I know.
The higher levels of leadership, the greater the responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what drives you to continue to not slow down
No.
in the pursuit of sharing your knowledge.
Yes. I love it. This is I'm going to say one of my passion. I found out a few years ago that I can do this. I can tell, I can say, I can share. And if I can make an impact in somebody in a good way, I want to do it.
So with your position now as Director of Training and Development, really it's Director of People, directing people and their growth. How do you see that sharing of knowledge? How do you see yourself uniquely positioned from all of your experiences along the way to share knowledge in the role you're in now? What do you teach in your role to others?
I think what I teach, I love to teach is that, in some way, the mistake I do before in my life, and I like to share with all my students, with the co-workers, with the friends. I don't want them to do the same mistake I do, because it can cost you something. It can cost you a career. It can kill your career. It can damage, everything. A lot of years ago, probably about 35 years ago, I was working at night. I feel a newborn, and I was very frustrated because you don't want to drink. So I give you a little kick to the newborn. I don't know if it happened to somebody, but it happened to me about 35 years ago. So the manager, he was there, and I said, Juan, what you do? What it happened? I said to him, he said, I don't got an answer because it's a mistake. He said to me, Juan, he said, never do this again. Because this one, it can kill your career, your life, everything. A small thing, it can change your life completely. So I learned. So I shared that with our employees, I shared that with our co-workers. I said, don't do the mistake I made. Don't do that again, don't do that. So it's example, and I believe each one of us got some example to share, good one and bad one. Now I would like to share that one. It's a good, not a good example to follow, but it's a good example not to follow and to learn.
Yeah, and what you just shared, Juan, is a beautiful example of your own leadership, of looking into your own experiences and being honest and vulnerable enough to share something that was difficult for you. But how many people do you think have benefited in their life and their career, whether it's at Milk Source or somewhere else, because you shared that one experience with them?
Sometimes when you go to seminars, when you go to conventions, sometimes you spend 3 or 4 or 5 hours there, listen to the speaker or something. But if you learn one thing for that convention, for the dairy or something, I think it's really good. So if it's somebody out there, learn from this mistake 35 years ago, that'd be great.
So learning from these mistakes, it kind of leads into point number 3 of these key principles that you went much more in depth with Elsie. And point number 3 was this: sometimes we are wrong.
Sometimes we are wrong. Sometimes we are not right. A few years ago, I went to the dairy in Mexico to do some classes for the leadership classes in Mexico. And one of my friends, Julio Torres, I said to Julio, if you 1 to 10, if you score yourself, how good you are a leader, how score you give it to yourself? And he said to me, I can give myself 10. And I said to Julio, I think for me, you are 5. He said, what? He said, yeah, I think Julio, you are 5. So he walked away for a couple minutes. After he come back, Julio said to me, Juan, I think when you're right, I think I'm not telling you no. I think you are 7. What? 7? He said, yeah, you are 7. Now you say to me the 7. You said to me a few minutes ago that I am a 5, and now you are saying, yeah, because you admit it. He said, what? He said, yeah. So Julio said to me, Juan, how I can become 10? He said, never you're going to become 10. What? He become upset. What? He said, yes. He said, Juan, how I can become 10? I don't think to Julio you're going to become 10. You can describe yourself like a 10. Your co-workers, they're going to give you that 10. Co-workers, not you, your co-workers. So my point about this one is, sometimes we have to admit that we are wrong. Sometimes we have to, because I don't think so. Every single day we are right, and I hope so. I can say that, but I can't. I can't. But my point is about this is, sometimes we have to admit that we are wrong, and that's true.
So with that thought in mind, as you are working with the teams here at Milk Source, is that something that you train other people on as part of their own development, is to recognize and also call themselves out when they are wrong?
You have to be very honest when you feedback to the employees and say to them, you are right or you are wrong. Because when you say to the employee or to the coworker, to your son, to your friend, to whatever, when you say you are wrong or you are right, actually you help them. So I like to help. I love to help the employees. This is one way I can help my knowledge too. But as one is, yes, you have to say to them, you are right or you are wrong.
So that was point number 3 that you had of these principles of leadership. And number 4 that you shared is our past is not an excuse. What does that mean?
It's very interesting. Sometimes, like I say, sometimes in our lives, especially our work, sometimes sometimes we have to change the direction. If you think in that time when I was really young, I made sure already one mistake was that I kicked the newborn. So something like that, don't follow that mistake again, learn from that mistake. Somebody asked to me, said, you got some regrets in your life? I said, no, I don't got regrets in my life. Why? Because I learned from those regrets. I learned from those ones. Of course, I regret if you don't learn from those mistakes. So you have to, it's not an excuse to come back and cry and say, oh, I'm going to keep crying because I do a mistake or do something. No, you have to learn from those ones and keep going.
So what does it look like when you have a conversation with an employee about when they make a mistake, when something doesn't go well, that whatever came before, whatever experiences they've had that led them to where they're at is not an excuse for something, an action or thing that they said in the present. How do those conversations go?
If somebody do something, a mistake, you have to be very honest. Look, this is the reason. And one of the things that's very important is, please don't yell to the employee. Sometimes we think yell to the employee, you're gonna make that difference, you're gonna change, and it's gonna do much better next time. No. We have to explain to the employee this is the right way to say, look, this is how you do a mistake, and look, this is the way we can do it next time, or don't do it next time. But it's a way to say to the employee, look, this is wrong or this is right.
So that is how you handle this principle of not letting our past or anyone else's be an excuse.
Like I said before, if you are still thinking about the newborn, I'm gonna cry every single day, but I'm not. You have to, and so way past that and keep going. You learn from that, and not only learn, teach the other one. Don't do that.
There's been some words that have come up a lot in our conversation, and words like teaching and respect.
Yes.
And it seems that echoes throughout many of these principles that you've been outlining.
Yes,
those
yes.
themes.
It's very important, like I say, if you describe the word respect, if you put the word behind respect, it's a lot. I think it's the key word for everything. And I will, for example, how you can respect somebody if you say to the person good morning, or you say to the person good afternoon, and sometimes after we leave, we start to talk against that person. It's not respect. You say to your friends, co-workers, or to your wife, or to your husband, I love you. But it's not true sometimes. So it's not respect. So respect means a lot of things. Respect means a lot of things, and you have to really mean it. I think everybody, they're going to find out if you really mean it. If you are really honest. They're going to find out. So actually, when you say something, really mean it with all your heart. Otherwise, we're going to find out that you lying to us or I lying to you. So this is very important. Be honest.
And number 5 in these principles from your conversation with Elsie that she pulled out is this: the keys for motivating other people, and respect is one of those keys. And we've talked about that already. But 2 others that you listed are genuine care and working to maintain a positive work environment. So let's start with that genuine care. How is that part of motivating others?
Set your own example. This is the way you can motivate somebody. Because if you keep saying respect, if you keep saying try to show leadership to everyone, If you don't show that one, then you're lying to them. You're not going to do good to them or to yourself too. So actually, you have to really care. Like I mentioned before, they're going to find out if you really care about them. I remember when they proposed to me to be a director of safety. I said to Jim Armstrong, I said, yes, I would like to become a director of safety. And I would like to care about employees. Yes, we have to follow OSHA rules. We have to follow the state rules. We have to follow the meat sources, the rules too, of course. But we have to take care of the employees, and the employees they have to know that everything we do is for them. So you really care, you have to show to them that you really care about them.
So in this example you just mentioned, from stepping into the safety directorship, and when it comes to something like safety, there's a lot of boxes to check, right? Like wearing the vest, doing the right things, not climbing to high places without being attached to something sturdy, right? There's all of that are box checkers for essentially saying we care about your safety. But I think what you're talking about is more than just checking a box.
Yes. I think, like I say, they're going to find out if you really care. They're going to find out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the way you say it, the way you do. And not only that, the way you do the stuff too. Because if you haven't followed the safety rules, the one I proposed to do, if you haven't followed the respect that I was supposed to show, how they can follow me? How I can prove to them that this is true, not only to show, but I really do it, really do, to show respect to them, and to really show that everything we do is for them.
But so you're in a position now where you're the one that is extending that genuine care, that's showing others how to do the same. I'm curious though, for you, at some point along your journey, someone must have done it for you.
Yes.
Showed you that genuine care. So is there something that comes up in your mind of a time where you really felt that genuine care from this organization, and that was part of what led you to be such a strong proponent of sharing that knowledge with others now?
Yes. I think I have to say thank you to a lot of people, not only in Mills, but all over my career in the dairy industry. But over here I find out, here in Mills, I find out that actually I can do what I love to do. I remember 25 years ago, we took a class about leadership, 25 years ago. Just Jim, John Bolster, and me, and I think 2 or 3 employees, we took a class on leadership. So 25 years ago, one of the questions they asked to me, said, Juan, what are you doing in 5 years? And I said, I would like to teach. I would like to teach my knowledge. You know how long it take me? 10 years. Mm-hmm. But now, I do it right now. So sometimes it takes time.
When you reflect on that experience 25 years ago of taking this leadership class and being asked that question, going back to this point of genuine care, what did that tell you that Jim, John, Todd were interested in what you wanted in 5 years?
They really, Jim, John, and Todd, they know. I think they, in some way, they select each one of us in the right position. So actually, in some way, we've been developed by them, because what they do, what they think, be a true leaders, we will learn from them.
So how powerful of it is a tool for anyone in management or working with people to just take time to ask their own team members, even their own family members in some situations, what is it that you want? Where do you want to be 5 years from now? How important is it to take the time to ask that question? Not just are the are the tasks for the day done? Is the protocol followed? Those are normal questions, right? But these type of questions, they get to a heart, right? And a motivation that's deeper than that.
You know, always we do leadership classes, and I ask to some of the employees the secret for the best salesman in the entire world. You know the secret for a salesman in the entire world? And it's listen. Listen. So my point is about that sometimes we have to stop. Stop for 1 minute, stop for 2 minutes, and listen to your employees. Listen what they want to say. Sometimes we assume that the same employee gonna come and talk with you again about a football game. He's talking about it again, talking about basketball game. So sometimes we assume that same employee gonna come to talk with us about the same, and it's not. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the employee gonna come to you and talk with something very important. So it's listen, take the time, and stop for a couple minutes. Mm-hmm. If you say to me, I don't got time, does that mean I'm not important? And also, be careful. I'm not gonna come back to you again, because you say to me you don't got time, and you say to me you don't got time 3 or 4 times already. So we have to get time, and it's very important. Believe me, each one employee in every company is important. Every employee is important.
And okay, this leads into the third point of these 5 principles. We're talking about keys for motivating others, and the third thing that you mentioned is the importance of working to maintain a positive work environment. And so tell me a little bit more about that. What do you mean by that?
To keep challenge the employees. You know, not only to do the same, but to keep challenging the employees to do better, to understand. I'm going to share something. A lot of years ago, back in California, I do IV to one cow. So the manager come to me and they said to me, Juan, why you do it? He said, I do IV to the cow. He said, why? Because you told me. Why? Because I think the cow is sick. Why? Because it's my job. Why? And I said, I don't understand. He said, yeah, you have to learn more. Not only to IV the cow, you have to why the reason the cow is sick, why you give it the medicine, for how long, how fast, everything. So my point is about this one is all the time, not only to share, to keep motivate, but to keep learning. Not only to do like I do in that time, yes, I did a cow. I don't know nothing about it. I don't know nothing else. The only thing I know is about I did a cow. So I always say to motivate, learn more. Because everything you learn, you're going to stay with you. Everything you learn is going to stay with you.
We've just covered these 5 highlights from the conversation that will be available on Uplevel Dairy and Motiva Dairy Consulting's YouTube channel as well. An in-depth conversation that goes way deeper than this with you and Elsie. And the 5 things that you've articulated here, Juan, these 5 key principles started with change starts with us and setting those examples. The second was sharing your knowledge. Yes. The third was understanding, admitting, and owning that sometimes we are wrong.
Yes, completely.
Number 4, our past is not an excuse. And number 5, these 3 keys to motivating others: genuine care, promoting a positive work environment, and then this word that has recirculated in this conversation over and over again, and that word respect. And so as we wrap up here, and considering that many of the people that listen to this podcast, that are listening to you right now, Juan, they are owners and managers of dairies. They are professionals that are working in the field with some of the best dairies in the country. What is it that you hope that they will be able to gain from this conversation today?
You know, I just listen. Listen to the employees. Listen to them. Most of the ideas all over the dairy come from the employees because they work in the field every single day, 24/7. So listen to them. stop for a couple minutes and ask them, how are you? How the family? How have everything? It's not only good morning. I always say, if you say good morning to your employees, say good morning every single day, not just Monday to Friday. Saturday and Sunday, because I'm open, I'm not going to say good morning, no. Be respectful with them. And because if I want respect, I have to show respect. But one of the things I would like to say to everyone, thank you for that, to listen for this. But I think that one of the key is listen to them.
It's a simple word, but it has a powerful and a heavy meaning to it.
Yes.
And application.
Yes.
Yeah. And speaking of listening, so as we keep saying, there's going to be this Spanish podcast and YouTube video coming out very soon here, where many of our listeners of this podcast will have an incredible tool and motivational conversation with you and Elsie talking about leadership. And so what is your hope for that conversation that will now be able to be shared out into the dairy industry to be able to impact and influence more than just owners and managers, but anyone that's on their team where Spanish is their first language and that's the way that they want to be communicated with? What's your hope and your dream for the impact that the conversation with Elsie will have on the broader dairy community?
Out there, somebody can listen, and they not only listen, but or share those videos. And like I said, if somebody out there, they can learn something for you. When I say for me or for somebody else, it's going to be great, because I know out there, and in some places in the United States, some places in the world, amazing people, they would like to share the knowledge. And not only myself, no. I know it's a lot of people, great, amazing people out there. They want to do what we want to do.
Well, thank you so much, Juan, for sharing it with us in this conversation today, and also in the conversation that you had with Elsie that will be available for others to not just listen to, but to really share, push out, get it into the ears and in front of the eyes of those that can benefit from a conversation with an incredible dairy leader like you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for everyone. Thank you for everyone.
Thank you to Juan for sharing his 5 key leadership principles. And thank you to Elsie Gonzalez Leach for allowing us on our next episode to share her conversations with dairy leaders interview with Juan in Spanish, which will go much more in depth and hit these real leadership topics that your Spanish-speaking team members are not going to find anywhere else. This will be our next podcast, and you can also find the video version of her interview with Juan as you subscribe to the Motiva Dairy Consulting's new YouTube channel. So make sure you're sharing that out with your team, and you can find all the links in your show notes. This episode is sponsored by Uplevel Dairy Podcast founding partner Adiseo, a global leader in nutritional solutions and premier provider of rumen-protected methionine for dairy producers who want to optimize milk production, capture more value from components, and maintain the health of their high-performing herds. Feed. It's the greatest expense on any dairy operation. And don't you want to know how an adjustment to the ration will affect your bottom line? Well, Adiseo empowers nutritionists to make informed ration balancing decisions with MilkPay.com. Customizable to your dairy's own data, this profitability calculator puts the power of real-time milk market information in the palm of your hand. Find out how your latest ration change is really costing you with the free MilkPay app available on iOS and through MilkPay.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, if you'd like to hear more from Uplevel Dairy for Spanish resources for your team, shoot me an email to Peggy@upleveldairy.com and tell me what you'd like to hear. I'm Peggy Coffeen, and thanks for listening to the Uplevel Dairy Podcast.